Okay.
Just share my screen. Now, what was very useful, very, very useful, because
Yeah.
it ended up in the restructuring the loss of the data specs last time, is just getting you to, not having seen what I've done, just try and mess with it. So last time we were, so this is the planning bot. We asked this as the user to do something, and already we spun up one thing. So after this, I'm going to put in how's intent behavior, because really what it should have done was say, what do you mean by available? Because that was the ambiguous thing.
The clarifying questions.
Right.
Yeah.
So we said determine the next available time slot, and it took available to be, this time slot after the last time slot. It's like,
All right. So you want me to just
wrong.
ask some questions that I would expect the CRM to do?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to do is, because I've got all these fresh single bots, so I'm going to take the action that the planning bot says you should do, and then just cut and paste it across and see if it does something sensible,
Okay.
and see if we can fuck it up.
Okay. How many customers do I have?
Okay. There should be a single step, I'd imagine. It's going to say, 2 steps. Retrieve the customer, okay, customer data. So I'm going to take this. I'm not going to do any editing. Now I need to find out where's the customer agent, customer data. Should be that one. Should be that one. Oh man, this is a fucking painful way of doing it. Customer data, yes.
Oh God.
List of customer records. See what it comes with. That was step 1. Correctly identified area. Okay, it's got all the customer records. And the second one is count the number of customers in the record. Okay, where is it? It was that one. I see. Again, it didn't say. Oh, it's now printing out the entire list. Because we didn't give it a stop. It's like, only tell us the first name, or only customer ID would have been a better way. So that is one thing I can do to add to the, because I know it's retrieved it all now.
Right.
But I can add to the prompt saying, do a stop. There you go, 20. Is the answer to your question.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is. And I'll prove.
How the fuck are we going to know? Like, when we're testing the system, how are we going to, when the data sets get large, how are we going to know that it's correct?
That is why I've got that coherence test. I think there's probably other tests that you need to run every time. Because what we want to know is it, I don't think it's going to make up data because it's pistol whipped enough. But what we want to know is the data itself, because we're dealing with different bots, is coherent between them. And so there's a number of tests, I think, that if you run every time you call a bot, it's got its system prompt, it's got the data, and it's got tests, and it's going, yep, good to go.
Oh, that's
So,
what you
yes,
meant by the boot sequence. Yeah, but that still won't help us to know if we come at it with lots of different kinds of queries. We can't. We need to manually verify that the queries are coming back correct.
No, what we do need is a red flag if they look odd. Well, yeah, sure, you could have humans look at everything. That's kind of defeating the point.
Well, yeah, I know, but how during this testing phase, I can't see any other way than that. So one of the tactics that sort of avoids that problem a bit is the approach of asking the same question in different ways. So like
yeah, I see.
or like
and
there's
variance within questions,
right, and like reverse checking the responses as well, like testing the negative of the response. You know, like there's
Well,
different kinds of transforms, I think.
let's give it a go. So I'm back in the planning bot. So give me something more complex.
Um,
That's an unfair question because you don't really know the. So the most complex thing is the route plan. The route plan deals with times, drivers, locations. Locations are linked through location data back to customer data. Permissions are agent data and service policies. Driver data is very simple. It's probably not worth looking. The event log I've not implemented yet.
okay.
So route
Shit.
plan is the thing.
You
That's the
basically
most complex thing.
wrote a program here.
Well, I didn't. Well, I told a bot to write a program. So
Same thing these days, I think.
yeah. Well, I'll not even show you the route plan.
Yeah, show
I'll
me the
just
route
give you a
plan.
description of it. No, because that'll seed your mind.
Well, I
So
don't.
the routes are a bunch of locations that need to be picked up on a certain date.
Okay.
So give a confusing question around that.
How many dates have no pickup scheduled?
between what period? Many dates do not have
Uh,
scheduled.
or another simpler one is are the pickup dates consecutive?
Dates consecutive. I don't even understand that. What do you mean?
Like, are there any gaps in the dates?
Oh, that's a better one. Which dates do we not have pickups on?
Yeah, but that's like, you know, all of history versus,
Well, I was trying.
you know, like I'd expect like it's almost like we need to imply bounds, like the scope of the system. You know, like when you're talking about dates.
It implies it. If it doesn't, oh, here we go. Let's see what it said. Determine if the pickup dates in the route plan are consecutive. Action one, right. As I said, the planning at the moment, I've not told it not to give the answer. So retrieve all scheduled dates from the route plan. So the planning bot is like the God bot right now.
Yeah, the orchestrator.
So if we put that to where's the route? Where's route? There. Right, it's the next one to planner.
Dude, I feel so sorry for you. I feel so sorry for you.
Okay, so we should have that 3rd, 5th, 8th, 14th, for example. 3rd, 5th, 8th, 14th. Is that right? Yes. 3, 5, 8, 14. 3, 5, 8, 14. Okay. So the single bot has got the same as the God bot.
Okay.
Okay. Sort the scheduled dates in chronological order.
Oh.
It already is, but I'm sure it's going to come up with the same thing. Boom. Of course, that's just a simple one. And then sort. Step 3. Check if the difference between each consecutive date is 1 day.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful. Like,
Okay.
even though it's not, even if it isn't 100% right, we can get there with the quality of answers here.
Yeah. Okay. Difference false. Is that check if the difference between consecutive date is 1 day? No, it's not 1 day. It's more than 1 day.
Yeah. Difference is 1 day. False. Okay.
Yeah. No, they're not consecutive. There you go. So how this will once get the planner bot, it will not try and solve it itself because that's going to fall over.
Right. It just gives back the.
But it gave the same answer as the single bot.
Yeah, I think also what I take a step back at and feel good about is that the progress you're making shows that there's problems, and then the problems are overcome. Like you're overcoming problems fairly quickly, which means to say
Yeah.
that, there's no reason that that should stop. So we'll hit problems, and then there'll be some way. And it's more like, I just wanted to pass comment on the nature of the solution. The solution makes perfect sense when you hear it, and you're like, oh yeah, of course we should
I think it's
constrain.
pretty solid, actually. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, and so that is prompt progress, I guess. And
Yeah.
I don't think there's
Yeah.
any way around that. Like that's just
Yeah. Yeah.
getting past the surprise of AI. It's like, oh, you really do need to actually make sense when you talk to it.
I'm going to suggest one whose surname, now remembering that, is actually listed as last name. So begins with B.
And is on an odd numbered
Who
date.
is on an odd numbered. Excellent. Date. Okay. Let's find out. Okay, what's saying? Check if who's asking? Customer data retrieve. Okay.
That's so good, that plan output, man.
That is really powerful. Also, I don't know if you want to, but there's a number of papers around the use of planning
Right.
in agentic.
Because that sounds like you could make a plan to rewrite itself to pass new tests and new problems, or like
Yeah,
new stucks that have occurred, and so long as
yeah,
you never break the notion that there's always a stuck loop of some form running in the background, and it's always trying to improve itself. So long as you can never make an improvement that kills the improvement loop, um, then I think you're gonna be good.
right. I think we're getting it now. I think I actually just gave a wrong. Oh, that's the wrong bot. Damn it.
Oh,
Okay, that's the right bot this time. Boom. Okay, so it's saying customer 02. It's saying customer 02, says the God. Identify location ID associated, retrieved in step 1. I'm just going to not be friendly. I'm just going to say step 1. Okay. What's the next one? Yep, location 02. Yep. Who's asking route plans? Route plans. You're there, are you? Is that route plans? That's route plans. Oh, I need to tell what the ID is because we're not passing data.
no, it should. Oh, yeah, okay. You
Yeah,
should
because it's
copy.
not
You should
showing
copy the
instructions.
output from the last bot to be faithful.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Cut and paste is getting a lot worse actually over this last new thing. Um, so I'm going to route plan. So it's like IDs given the below. Okay. All right. We've got our scheduled routes. Okay. Is that the same as this one? No, it's not. Did I ask the right thing? Retrieve all scheduled route dates. It's gave one date, scheduled routes, and this gave more dates. I start to realize that actually the bots are smarter than I am in that
They take
from
things,
ambiguous.
yeah, they take things that are technically correct, and you're like, fair point.
Exactly. Retrieve all scheduled route dates associated with location IDs. I said, retrieve all scheduled route dates. Ah, no. Okay, right. No, that was my fuck up.
What are you
Okay,
doing?
identify the location ID associated with this. Ah, this is a parallel process. Right. So I should have said this.
How do you know it's parallel?
I'm applying it. So what's done is, so the thing was check if there are any customers surname begins with B. Now pick up scheduled on an odd numbered date. First thing it's doing is let's find out if there's any customer with B. Yes, there is. Next, identify the location ID associated with customer B. Okay, we've got location ID. All good. This is where I went wrong. Retrieve all scheduled route dates and associated location IDs. That's nothing to do with the previous step. It's to do with the next step. Check if any of the retrieved location IDs from step 2 matches the one from step 3.
Fair enough. Yep.
So
But how it needs to, so that route planner needs to indicate when it's like, when it's doing parallel recalls, like it.
so it's not enough. Back. It's getting never that's the first time I think it dropped out. Am I back? Yeah.
You're back. Yeah, it was
I'm
very broken.
Yeah. So yeah, you're saying right. So we need some. I need to tell the planner about writing a plan saying this is not sequential because we could have done this in parallel, right? Where's the plan?
Yeah, because if you want to pipe the output of one step into the next, I need to know if it's parallel or not, because that
Right.
dictates what gets fed where.
Right. Exactly. So if I teach the planner, this is really helpful stuff. If I teach the planner saying, right, that it can be done parallel. Oh no, that's serial. So that requires that. This
Yeah, it's like
in
dependencies.
parallel with 1 and 2.
Yeah.
This
So
can
the
only
simple,
be done when it's
yeah,
in
like
3
if it had one extra line that said depends on, then I can derive the hierarchy from that.
Right. So I need to teach the planner about well, it's a flowchart, isn't it? It's basically a flowchart.
Yeah.
Right, do this,
All it
do
needs
that.
is a dependencies. Like what's the immediate next
Yeah.
dependency, and then whenever I see two items, then I know that that's a merge, and then like I can plot the graph from that.
Right, that shouldn't be too hard. I don't imagine that it's going to be too
No.
hard.
Well, given that it
Because,
came up with parallel shit on its own, I'd
yeah,
say that getting it to simply annotate what it's doing would be trivial.
well, this is happening more and more. It came up with parallel shit, and I was doing it in serial, and so I
Mm,
fucked up.
mm.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, you need the platform, dude. I'm really sorry that you don't have it, because this thing would be cooking on fire.
This is why I'm more confident than I've ever been in the
Dude,
last
you are really good at
30
this.
years.
You are really good at this. Like this is
Huh?
yeah, you are very good at this. This is an amazing output.
It's pretty consistent, isn't it? I don't know. I don't know why, but yeah, there's a few tweaks and twiddles that you just really need to know. But then,
Yeah.
really, it comes down to it's just all you need to do is to be really clear.
I
Clarity
know.
of mind.
Right, but that's quite
Your
hard.
internal model needs to be as clear as the AI model, and if you do
Yeah.
that, you actually get really good progress.
Right. This is man, this is solid. Like this feels like a system. Like this we can make a CRM with these things.
start really thinking about it. So, typically on the declinization and normalization panels, they could be happy if it's all got out. That'll be the approach. But what's interesting is so it's like a dog bot. It knows everything. So I'm going to start messing around with it. And this is the interesting thing to relate back to the previous recording. Am I breaking up?
You were, and then but I picked up the gist of it.
Yeah, cool. Right at the start, you were talking about the conversation that you just had was about disparate data sets, all muddy and stuff introduced and that sort of thing. So what would be really interesting just to have it back in my head if we start messing around with this. So, for example, I don't know, what would do? Something like add more constraints, add more permissions, add more fields. Give me an example in this CRM level.
Add a new route, calculate a new route plan for the next day.
Okay. I now want to calculate a new route based on picking up from, let's give it some heart, from all of the even numbered locations. Let's see what it does. Because this is the really useful stuff is at the edge of chaos when it's like, ask it something completely unreasonable. I'll not go backwards and forwards on the bots because this is the God bot at the moment. Let's see, because it answers its own question.
No, it's like, what does it need? Is it trying to like convince you not to use any others?
Yeah, yeah. It will fall over when the data set is big enough. But calculating your route, okay, that's what I'm asking. Retrieve all location records, step 1. Okay, that's all of them. Yep. Filter for even numbered. No, that's not right. Oh, that's interesting. It is a string, and what was that looking for is ignore the lock hyphen and just go with this.
That's what you were wanting, eh? But
yeah.
No, that's input. Scroll down to get output.
Okay.
Lol. Okay. Funny.
This happens a lot. You realize you're lagging behind the bot.
This sucks.
Okay. Given the even, calculate the optimum route, including all the even numbers. Input is that. Sure. Calculate the optimal route. Locations. Date. 5 hours.
Where the fuck did you get 5 hours?
It knows on route plan a distance, estimated time.
Right.
I think. Let's find out.
So it's done some math in its little inference brain.
Show me the new route. It's done some inference on distance. Oh god, this is
That's
really interesting.
Quite outstanding.
5 hours.
How you do it?
Show me your thinking that I step. Take your time.
Take a deep breath, and after breathing out, begin to contemplate.
Yeah, okay. Right, yeah. Calculate the distance between each using lat long. Oh, it's fucking... No,
I think
it doesn't have any... It doesn't know what lat long is.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It knows what lat long is because it's an LLM.
What, it knows how to calculate distance between
Yep,
that long?
yep, it knows that. Total estimated time, 3 hours, 10.8 minutes.
Convert estimated time to a more readable format. Output, that is not 5 hours. What did it say? 5 hours.
Like, it's good what it did. So it's almost like whenever a number occurs and some math happens, it has to be done via a tool call. Like, you can't trust this thing to do maths. But I'm pretty sure that GPT-5 can do
Well, it's
maths.
getting pretty good, but yeah, it's getting better and better. And what
Yeah,
is not good, unless you really piss with it, is in stepwise reasoning and
right.
reflecting on its own output. But maths is getting it's getting about 98. When you look at well, most of the models are about 98%. So maths
98%.
is
We can't run a company on 98%. We need 100%.
no, but the thing is, then you add in a test spot, and so you're multiplying 0.98 probability by, you know, a second check or a third check, and now you're getting to 5 times.
98% of 98% is not 5 nines, my friend.
No. So if you have voting logic,
Right.
so if you have, say, 3 people giving an answer of 98%, and you,
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
yeah. But you're right. Either way, next model is going to nail it.
Next model's going to nail it, right? So long as we can not expend the danger seems to be expending effort on patching model weaknesses that then get fixed by OpenAI. Like, that's just a complete waste of our time. So how do we efficiently operate in the interim? And I think it's just with tool calls. Like, a tool call for now gives guaranteed math answers. And if you can force the bot to make a tool call, because there is a parameter where I can force it, it's like you must call a tool with this next
Yeah.
thing.
So the now this is it's a really important question that you just asked there. So what I'm doing here is going down NL all the way.
Mm.
No databases, nothing, no schema.
Yeah.
And you know, even
That's
the
what we
JSON
want,
was
though. Even
created.
that's what
Yeah.
we're gonna have, like, because we're just reading off text files on disk anyway, and all we're doing
Right.
is just injecting them in the prompts. There's really nothing like this is
It,
legitimate what you're doing.
exactly. And so it comes up very reliably with, for example, I never told it what a recommendation was. Yeah. It's like, okay. But that being read back into another bot as natural language, it's like, oh, that's a recommendation. I know what a recommendation is.
Mm.
So you don't need a hard schema. So ultimately, well, not even ultimately, that sounds like it's a long way off. I really do not think it's a long way off. I think it's a few iterations to get
Okay.
this tightened up. We can do all NL. Now, the question is, it's kind of a kind of human question when we put the CRM in front of the company. I have a lot of faith in this. You've probably got similar, but it's probably slightly less because, you know, but those guys are going to be going, nah, I don't want you to write to my database because it's like someone saying, send out, you know, $1,000 check to this guy. Yeah, okay. And for some reason, just because the user is being ambiguous and the bot tries to do it, and there's not enough checks to stop it,
Yeah, that's the
permissions
thing.
to stop it. So this comes back to our screen over here,
Mm.
where you've got all this going down, and it's like what we're doing here. We're finding your intent. We're looking at the data. We're saying, yep, yep, yep. Here's the thing, and right, here's the answer. And the on the right hand side is basically commit. It's like a summary saying you're about to do this on your real database. Commit.
Well, the way I keep thinking about it is that it's like Git diffs. So, because an interesting aspect of the Git design is that anything that the bot starts doing, because we can fork with impunity, we can eagerly, speculatively make all the changes that the bot thinks it should make so that
Yeah.
when it's ready to merge back into whence it came from, you can say to the user, okay, look, here's the diff, and this is what you're about to change. Are you okay with it? The advantage being, first of all, you can see the impact of what you're doing before you do it. And second of all, you can, um, because it's speculative, as soon as you're okay with it, you click go, and then it's like instantly done.
Oh, that's interesting. Should we try that? I've got.
Well, that's sort
That's
of how the whole system's meant to go. And so
yeah.
when you wanna do something, I would imagine that the state board would be populated with a screen that looks like this, where you're like, you know, this is a because my screen's too small, it's not side by side diff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can do, see, I can do this split diff where it's like side by side. Okay, here's customer file XYZ, and you're about to change these lines to this. You're about to delete this thing here. And then if you're like, okay, do it. That's what I think the final check should be.
I agree. Can I just try something?
Yeah.
What was that ambiguous call? I want to calculate how many you picked up on all even numbers. No, that wasn't it. What was the ambiguous one? It was the one before that.
You're not sharing anymore because I
Oh,
think I bumped you
okay.
off and it doesn't have a history.
Yeah, I didn't mention that because it was so rude. Sorry. Was that the ambiguous one? What was the one that I got wrong? I thought I was doing right. Is it that one? Are there any customers whose surname belongs with B? No, it was one before that.
It was the next route based on even numbered something or other, even numbered locations.
Even numbered locations.
So is that what we're doing then? Like the bot will immediately begin making all the changes, and then when it's about to go commit, like the intent has been met, the topic is about to be closed, this thread is going to be merged back into production data,
Yes,
and then we
yes,
show it side
exactly.
by side, and you're like, this is the exact changes that are going to be made. We can give you a generated summary if you want, but really at some point, I think we need to surface the raw change. This is why I was keen to have the raw data, the descriptions with the data, so that I can, without any fancy processing, chuck that straight up on the screen, and
Right, right.
it's
I think
self-explanatory to even a novice user.
exactly. And that click, I think, still has value.
The click, yeah. And so the other click I need you to tell me how I'm going to integrate is the click to indicate new session. Because if you're in the middle of a session and you don't want to pollute that session,
Oh, ideally,
it's a
well, where we
button,
want to get to is that's what trained how to do, and he's getting pretty good, but
right?
I wouldn't put it out there yet. Which is every point discern my intent, and if it's shifted, then kind of basically store that for next time
Yeah,
and create a new intent. And this
right.
is what I
But
mean now,
so
and then
now
go
that
back.
when that happens, I need that to be a Git branch because that's what just happened. Like,
Yeah, well, I'm assuming I've not looked at this at all, but I'm assuming I can run an isolate just by a name of an isolate now to
yeah,
run it.
but it's just the question is more of a it's more about being tidy than anything. If I say, hey, I want to start a new session, I think that I should not record that request anywhere because what's the point?
No, it's just it's like a new tab. It's well,
Yeah,
effectively, all
you,
these tabs are new sessions.
yeah. And so I'm like, well, how do I do that in chat? Should I give you a button so that it's actually something different that you did? Like, in ChatGPT, you got to push a button to get a new chat.
Yeah. It's like talk about something else.
All right, and then how do you want to browse your old chats?
Um, so what you'd want to do, I think, I'm going to need a laser pointer for this.
Okay. Yeah.
So what I think is, you've got your chat embedded in. You're seeing everything going down. It's like, oh, just thought of something else. Button, whatever it is.
Yeah. New
Um,
topic.
yeah. And then probably
Should we do it just like
um,
ChatGPT? I mean, I don't like I don't like the way that
no,
all the topics are
they're not
down the
very good
side.
at. Yeah, they're not very good at these things. But what possibly is a stack of previous conversations. It's like,
All right. The other way that we can do it is that we can store the topics inside of the state board. So I can give you a hotkey. So you hit the hotkey and you'll get a new session. If you talk to that session and say, show me all my sessions, then in the state board, all the running sessions will be listed for you, just like in ChatGPT on the left hand side. And you can click one and it will become the session that you're in.
uh, oh,
Hmm?
almost. So what
Almost.
I'd like to
Okay.
do is I'm in a session.
Yeah.
I've had, let's say, my history's got 5 different sessions.
Yeah.
I'm in session 6.
Yeah.
I get to this session, and then I say something like, I'd like to talk about buying a dog in Sicily.
Yeah.
And it says, then it says, here's the session you're talking about buying a dog in Sicily.
All right, so that's a separate thing. That's automated session guidance where it's detected in a topic change and
Yeah.
it's either started you a brand new thread, a brand new session, sorry, or it has retrieved or snapped you back to a previous session, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
that's
And it's,
separate to actively starting a new session.
actively starting a new session, I think, should be simple as, well, I said ideally the bot should see that you're now talking about something else, but let's leave that to one side because I'm not confident about how yet. I'm only on V2. He's getting better, but
Are you
let's
suggesting
say
that we
there's just a button
actually
saying new
run
session.
on auto session only?
Ideally, yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah,
you are a sucker
you're,
for punishment. But okay, that's
yeah,
cool. Let's
yeah.
do it. All right,
Because
and so
that's why, I don't know if you remember the how prompt. Um,
so if I'm sorry.
where's how? I've not altered how for a while. It's like any one point you must see what my intent is, and then switch between
Okay.
intents. If
So
you can
if
find it.
I say something that's like I want to buy a dog in Sicily, I want to update customer Helen to have her pickup be cancelled, and I want to jot down an idea for a painting I'd like to draw. I would
Yeah,
expect you to
you've
fire
created
up.
3 sessions.
I would
Yeah.
expect 3 sessions. Yeah, that's what I'm going to get.
Yep. And then you go and deal with your customer, deal with the
Okay.
painting, and then go right about the dog,
Okay.
and
And
then it goes up
if
the
I'm
dog.
like about the dog, so there's two aspects to the session closure that you need to consider then.
Hmm.
You need to auto detect when the session has been completed and then figure out where is the most likely place that I'd want to be dropped into.
Yep.
And then
Okay.
you also need to allow me to say actively that I want to navigate to a different session and you would leave that one sitting there and take me to either a new one or the one that I mentioned or show me some
Right.
options, right?
Right. Exactly. And then you we'll take that general purpose one. Okay. Well, actually, no, that's a really good thing. So you got what was it? Dog painting and work customer. Um, So ideally, what I'd want is the bot that you're talking about to understand. Okay, so you're asking about a bot. Sorry, about a dog.
Mm.
Now you're asking about who's this Alice? Who the fuck is Alice? To quote the song.
Mm.
And then it looks through previous things. It's like, all right, okay, Alice is actually to do with your work.
Mm.
It session shifts, and now you're talking about Alice. You're doing all that, and
Okay.
inside of Alice, inside of the CRM, you start talking about dog and saying there are no dogs. Let's go up one. Are there any sessions you've been talking about dogs? You appear to be talking about dogs. Click. You're now talking about dogs again, but they're not. They're non-polluting between them. So each bot should understand when you're talking about something that is pertinent and something that is like, whoa, what's a dog? You know, we're a trucking company. And then on seeing something that your intent appears from
Mm.
what your NL is to be outside of the scope of the session that you're in, goes up and searches previous sessions and then suggests a new session saying, you seem to be talking about a dog now. Here's a button if you want to change the session. Now, the reason I'm aiming for that one is you might want to be, as Sisaz and Adam, might want to add in a dog field to customers because the drivers have been complaining about
Right.
dogs barking at them,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yep.
So you don't want to switch that session. What you want to do is saying, you've previously talked about dogs. Do you want to go back and talk about dogs now?
Mm.
It's like, no, I don't want to talk about dogs.
Man, that I mean, okay, like let's do it, but man, that sounds like a minefield, and it could be a very frustrating experience for our customers if we do it. Like, like it.
Oh, this is not now, but this is where I think I don't see anything else other than faster processing and context windows that we can't do that. But the important thing, as mentioning, is to reinforce your point. It's like a detection of intent that searches previous sessions and then gives you a
Mm,
button saying, "Do you want to switch
it's like it needs
sessions?"
to
And
keep
then when
them
you switch
in.
session, you leave it all behind.
It needs to keep a little to-do list
Right.
on the file
And
system, and it's always
exactly.
trying to close them
Yeah.
out. It's trying to close
Uh,
those things out for you all the time.
well, also, but also it can. It's not a to-do list. It can also incorporate new things. So, for example, if I started talking to you about, I'm doing some landscaping in my garden right now.
Yeah.
We've been talking about AI, so that sort of thing. It's like the AI. If you're an AI, the AI should be going. CRM's not to do with landscaping. Do you want to switch topic? Boom. Yeah. Now you've got a new session. I'm going to be asking you things about landscaping. And then say,
Right.
right,
I
okay,
would
about
I would
Alice.
I would want it to switch topic automatically for me. But
Yeah.
I think what I'd want is the ability to configure that behavior. So talk to it about its session switching notion and be like, hey, you know how you always ask me before creating a new session? I want you to just do it. I should be able
Right.
to
That,
configure it like that, right?
yeah, and that is, now, I'm not saying we're anywhere close to that, but I can't see any stoppers to it other than, going further down the rabbit hole. Um, so, for example, ideally, it should be like a conversation between you and I. I could talk about landscaping now, saying,
Mm-hmm.
okay, right, forget all this shit. I've got a whole bunch of mud I need to move. I've got a wheelbarrow, talk about that.
Mm.
Ideally, I wouldn't want to have to say, you're now talking, you've been talking about CRMs, you've been talking about AIs, you're now talking about landscaping. Do you agree? It's like, yeah, no, I agree because I've just changed the subject.
Mm.
Ideally, that's where we want to get to it. But I don't
Mm.
see any major stoppers to that
Okay.
because it's all NL.
Okay.
But no, that's not
So
something
that
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 we can offer right
yeah,
now at all.
that's okay. So right now we're just gonna go with a button for a new.
Yeah,
No,
because I think
even
as
better.
long as
Right now you're
yeah,
gonna have to start a new tab.
right, and that's more to do with actually. We could probably get quite close, but right now, I think there's going to be quite a bit of pushback from users who are going, "Ooh, AI, not sure, can't understand that. Heard it on the news, sounds scary, and we're all going to be enslaved." And here's, it turns up in the workplace.
Mm.
I don't think we can
That's crazy, right?
beat
It
that.
just turns up in the workplace, and you're like, boom, that's
Yeah,
what it looks like.
right. And I think there's going to be a lot of pushback, and that pushback, I think, is counteracted by having something comfortable like a button to click.
A button,
It's like
yeah, like a
by
powerful.
pressing this button, you're
Like I
about to do.
remember Control Alt Delete used to make me feel safe. Hmm.
Okay, let's me on that one. Why?
That was the Windows hotkey to
Yeah.
stop everything.
Well, yeah. But why did it make you feel safe, Thousand?
Because
Extra
without
mark.
that,
So,
without that ability to pull the plug, it felt like I was subservient to the machine.
oh, I see. Oh, that's interesting. That's a different thought process entirely. No, I was thinking more along the lines of remember that bit from years ago where emails, the structure of emails is based on faxes.
Yeah.
Now, the reason they're based on faxes is because everyone's comfortable with faxes, and so
The most recent human artifact.
yeah, yeah. So that's what I was referring to. So I think for the time being, we need to refer to the most recent thing that people are comfortable with, regardless of the fact that the engine behind it is completely changed. The faxes are completely different from emails,
Hmm.
but it seems like there's something that you can recognize and therefore you're comfortable with. People are used to GUIs. GUIs are pointless now, but you put up a little GUI button and it's like, oh, it's a GUI. Oh, that's fine.
Hmm.
Right,
So
we'll see.
I'm starting to see these apps as actually the to-do list is at its heart. Like if you think of the fact that it's a collection of sessions where the sessions represent an intent, then that's just a to-do list. It's a powerful
Um,
one because it's got an agent that's
let's
trying to
think
solve
about
it
this
for
to
you.
do this. Oh, actually, that is quite an interesting way of saying it. So what
And
you're
isn't that
saying is
all
the
that humans
intent,
really do? The intent
the
is
in,
to do. The intent is to
right?
do.
Because you could be saying something randomly, like I just have, I've got some landscaping to do,
Mm.
but I'm not actually saying that we're going to talk about landscaping now. But then now that, the fact that I'm interested in landscaping is available, if later on in the session I come back and saying, right, okay,
Yeah, so there's
and
like back burner to dos, there's like incidental in passing to dos, and then there's like
that's
jobs to be
interesting.
done to dos.
That's interesting.
And I think under the hood, what you're really describing there is a to-do list. And I think the to-do list underpins every kind of app. Like you turn up to an app to do something. You turn up to an app to do a range of things. You turn up to an
Actually,
AI
that's
app to do all sorts of things, but it's
oh
still
man, that's
to-dos.
actually, in retrospect, that's actually fucking obvious. Because what is an intent other than a to do
Yeah,
that is being calcified, right?
right.
It's
And
like,
the same basic to-do rules apply. Like you want to prioritize them, you want to categorize them, you want to park them, you want to jump around them,
right.
you know.
Yeah.
So the other thing I'm thinking of adding in each prompt is a little trailing piece down the bottom that says the date and time, because when you flick between to dos, like if I come back to something after say 4 hours, you should greet me with a summary of what you thought where we were at. Or if I come back three
Yeah.
weeks later, like summarize it. I don't want to have to.
You know, I can't remember, was it you who were saying this too, or I think it might have been Jude or whatever. I'm looking forward to, and it's not so far away, personal AI where I get up in the morning, get a coffee, and ask it, right, how could I possibly fuck up today? And it gives it gives a stacked list of things that you could fuck up with
Ah,
if you don't do with it.
yeah, that version's coming. It happens as soon as you get married.
Yeah, but rather than asking Jude, because I do ask Jude, that
No,
that
no,
that's
no.
how I know. It's like every morning.
That version you don't have to ask. It
Exactly.
It'll
It's
tell
like,
you, and then it will provide evidence of why that's an accurate forecast.
if you have a whole bunch of things that you ingest into it, and actually, this comes down to the Gemini announcement this morning and the GPT-4o announcement yesterday. It's that's where they're going. It's the B2C, but that would be really cool. Now, if we move that into the kind of concept space of actually trying to get work done,
Hmm.
it could be the case that you get interrupted. It could be the case that
Yeah.
you have to wait. It's async,
Yep.
and so on. But the same question is, as a customer agent, is like, how could I fuck up? Yeah, as in, what are the most important things? To
Mm.
paraphrase, what do I need to do now?
Mm.
And then what you're talking about is going back through the various sessions and understanding that against perhaps some kind of customer agent rules, which we've already got, and saying you should be prioritize grumpy people over happy people,
Right.
perhaps,
Something.
and so forth. Yeah.
Right.
So
So like Hal would have an opinion on what your next to-do item is. He wouldn't just leave
yeah,
it up to you.
and it might be wrong, but it would be better
At least
than
it's intelligent,
just
and
not
intelligence
doing
can get
anything.
better. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but back to your question. I think for the time being, we do need uh,
Oh,
we
and
need.
then so my
No,
apologies.
no.
Continue.
After you. After you. I was just forming
Yeah.
my
So
thoughts about
what
that.
that means, in an organizational standpoint, is that we can, as soon as you make a to-do list, we can advertise that to everyone. And so if we identify that the to-do is of a certain category, such as any customer service agent can deal with this to-do, then it can go into like a shared pool so that other people can come in and do it for you. Or
Right, right. And that's the concept around. I think it was two conversations ago. I was talking about the value of a shared event log.
yeah, so right. So but that's just, it's just shared to-dos. The event log is grouped
Uh,
by to-do
yeah,
tasks. Yeah,
events imply to dos.
right. And then the the master branch doesn't change until the to-do is done and there's a merge event that got approved by someone. So
Then it goes back in, and someone else might have been working on it in parallel, and it's like, oh, you don't have to work on this in parallel anymore because someone else has done it. It's like,
yeah,
oh, I'll have a copy of them instead.
yeah, like things are just getting knocked off the pool. Cause and
Yeah,
then that's kind of
the
useful. It's like
yeah,
swarm mode.
well, yeah, my this is not clear yet. I'm probably about 30% there, but my thinking is going down the idea that actually the events log is the spine of all of this. So if you take the data as state changes, but the events log are in between state changes. Someone calls up saying, I want to change my route.
Mm-hmm.
Permissions say, you're talking to a customer agent. I don't have the permissions to change the route. I'll get back to you.
Mm.
Now, that's not state change. The route hasn't changed, but nevertheless, there's an intermediate state change that still needs to be actioned on. So there's something about the event log that I think is the central spine of a company.
But why is that not the same as a shared to-do list where events take place within to-do sessions or a to-do branch?
It's not, and in fact, right, let me try and show off a bit here. 2 seconds.
But that means that there isn't one single event log. There's one single to-do pool.
No, the to-do pool is algorithmic, so bear with me while I do the clicking around.
Clickety clickety.
Dad, why? Oh, I don't have the home keys. It's really hard typing with this. I'm a quite good touch typer, but I'm getting two images of the keyboard, which is
Yeah, it puts you off. Eh?
yeah. Okay, I'm going to stick in our.
I think that the hand tracking in the hand tracking in workrooms is off compared to the underlying MetaQuest tracking, because if you go into system mode,
Yeah.
like you just bring up the menu, you get your hands really accurately and quickly
I've
rendered.
noticed that as well, actually. Yeah.
Whereas the workrooms one is like sort of it lags.
But that makes no sense unless they've built their own one, which wouldn't make any sense at
It's
all.
not no, it's like they're post processing it in some way that isn't good.
Yeah, it's not helpful.
Or it could be
Okay.
the avatar thing, like it does extra
Uh,
calculations to make sure there's like inverse kinematics being applied to your
well,
arms
that's
and things like that.
yeah. That summarizes one of the main problems with AI at the moment. It tries to be too helpful.
Oh yeah, doesn't
Right.
everyone
Okay.
though?
So what I'm doing here, I'm just taking the JSON retriever and I'm sticking in. It's a really small event log. I have no idea whether this will be a good demo or not, but I suspect. Okay. Have you got that? Yes, got it. Give me a to-do list. Go through the event log, provide, update event logs. I've not told it anything about to-do lists, so update event logs, make necessary updates, share the details to each. Nah, okay, alright, that failed.
What was your
Let's see if
intent?
we could. My intent was if we would pick up on some of these have outstanding actions. And right, create this event. No bollocks. Okay, forget that. What my intent was previously, because all these data are test data that have been generated. Previously, we had an event log that had outstanding authorizations to give, and what I was hoping
Oh,
for
right, right.
was that it would say duty manager has still to authorize this event.
Mm.
But
But that's so. The way I'm thinking about it in my head feels different to how you're describing it. I'm seeing that as one branch in Git, and it's been passed around from customer service up to supervisor, but it's still just another commit on the branch that represents the intent to do this, get this approval done or do this thing.
oh, so by if I understand, what you're saying is a branch of an action is to do because it's not been finished.
Yeah, and only when it's
Finishes a
done,
merge.
when it's
Yeah.
finished, it merges, and
Oh,
that's
yeah. You are thinking about it differently. Oh,
yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah.
And so
So,
there's this company wide. There's this pool of branches that are in different states, and some of them can be picked up by any customer service agent, for example,
yeah.
and they keep working on this branch, and and when you ask for approval, that's just a different commit on the same branch, and it now sits with only a duty manager can take the next step or make the next commit. And then
Hmm.
once it's done, you merge it back into master. But in the meantime, the AI can operate with impunity because it can do whatever it likes and it's not going to fuck with the production data.
So events, if they had a reference to a branch, would get what you're
Well,
talking about there.
branches, if a commit is an event, in my opinion. And so
Mm-hmm.
each commit on a branch represents an event. And so if the branches are really the intents of the company and the progress towards closure or realization or completion of those intents, then the branch is the to do, the events are the commits, and the merge
Right.
back in is the
Right.
completion.
Yeah. Exactly so. So as soon as there's a branch,
Yeah,
there's work to be done
yeah,
because it's just a branch.
yeah,
Um, when it's merged, is done.
yeah,
That's definition of done.
yeah. And to merge gives you, you need to click a button. Like you can't auto merge. You have to look at the data side by side and be like,
Right,
here's the changes you're about to make to the system. It's all been
right,
approved,
right,
it's all been
right.
calculated, it's all been this and that, but this is the change.
Yes, yeah. So imagine a job that actually two people simultaneously branched on, saying, "Oh, I
Mm,
can do that. Oh, I can do
mm,
that." They're off doing this thing.
mm.
The done is basically first person to merge.
First person to merge, yeah, but there should also be bots like a pool watcher that's looking for duplication between branches and says, hey guys, you seem like you're doing the same thing.
It could be, but the it, duplication of effort on a similar task may not be a bad thing if really what you want to do is saying, right, create me a logo
Mm.
um, and have 10 people create a logo, and then there
Right.
is
Yeah,
merge
yeah. So it
requests. So
depends.
the,
It
the merge is
depends.
still
Yeah,
done,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's
Yeah,
still,
okay.
it
That's a really
depends.
interesting way of looking at it. Um, I think you're right. I think you're right.
I think the to-do list is the heart of every company. If I was in 1604, I would have a to-do list that
Right.
guided me,
Yeah. Sorry,
right?
go on. Go on.
And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would pass, I would add to my colleagues' to-do lists when I needed them to do something. I would ask for all the customer service guys to have a shared to-do board where they place their different tasks on there. I'd ask everyone to keep it updated.
So the event log that I'm talking about is the
One branch.
pedestrian version of that. Well, you could reframe this as saying the event log is at any one time, um, what's the status of all the branches?
Yeah, yeah. Because no commit ever happens at the
Hmm.
same time, even though it's on a
Mm.
different branch. So you could say that the event log is the linear sequence of all the commits, but it has more meaning if you group them by branch because that's the context of the
It
work being done.
absolutely does. Absolutely it does. So you could have events that would, because after all, it's just a text file. But you branch, and then different things are happening
Yeah,
in parallel.
yeah,
Now, if you were to reframe that as a to do, then you're looking at, well, why are these things happening parallel? Perhaps there's duplication, perhaps that's an okay thing, perhaps it's not, perhaps it's new things. But what that does is collapse the event log to a context where it's like, well, what's the work in progress? What's the work in flight
yeah,
right now?
yeah. What's in flight? Work in flight.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's really, really neat, actually. I need to think about that. That's
And
really
it
neat.
gives the closure aspect is nice too because when you merge back in, that's what
Yeah.
done is. It's like you impacted the state of the parent branch, and you know,
And that is the definition of done.
yeah, that's what done means.
That
Now you
is
can
nice.
reopen it and start again from the merge commit, but but that mechanic within Git of the fork and then the merge, that's what Git was modeled after. Was a programmer has a job to do, they
Hmm.
branch, they go off and do it, then they merge and reconcile their end result with the group.
Probably really interesting. So on a branch, if um, if the events were part of that branch, so events, for example, ultimately expecting to be able to put a reference to an entire session, a
Mm.
summary. So an event might be, you know, this session here where we're talking to a bot. Okay, you've got a session, you've got the context around it, but you've also got the intent behind it. Duplicate this conversation, so this has happened in parallel in two places. You should be able to do Not only if the two branches are have got the same intent, then the to do is one, but you should be able to gauge between the events that have happened in each of the branches,
Mm.
make some kind of estimation on, well, not only inside the branch by itself, what's the next thing to do and what have we done before, but also when you merge that event, that event logs on the two branches is really rich data in terms of you said go paint a painting, so I've gone off and got oils and got whatever canvas. Another one's gone watercolors. I've got this, and they are merging back. The fact that we've done it in different ways is rich data in terms of which is the right one to merge. Even if one merges first, another one comes after might be better. This is a half-formed idea. I'll get back to you on this one. But there's something about
Put it in your to-do
tracking
list,
the
maybe.
events. Yeah, tracking the events on each branch, I think possibly could be really rich data.
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, that's what you want to. That's the point of Artifact, is you want all that. You want to keep it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so that means events are based on which branch you're in, and the to do can would necessarily reference events because of this in-flight thing. So
yeah, you're trying to merge. That's your underlying life force.
right,
Your life force is to have all branches merged.
exactly. And this is what I was saying about the useful thing about the events is like a half-done thing. So Alice Johnson has asked for a painting to be done.
Right.
Boom, we've split it as per, and then Alice comes back on the phone saying, "Where's my painting?" So you want to be able to not only refer the to do, get Alice's painting done, but to be able to refer to the events that have happened and whether there are any stucks along those events, in order to have a proper response to Alice. If you say we're working on it, that's not very helpful. If you're saying, well, actually we've got oil painting, water paint,
Right. There's
and
right. Here's the intermediate result. Here's
right,
right.
right,
That's super
yeah,
useful.
yeah. So the interesting thing about events, this is why I was previously thinking it's like the core of it. Events hold intermediate steps between state changes. Given a reasonable level where the state change is between asked, okay, that's fine. I need to go in a sec. Between ask and done, it gives reasonable information in between, which can be inferenced.
Yeah. So just to clear that up, events. If events are commits, then commits are state changes. But the fact that it's branched means that it's in between, like the master branch state change.
Right, right. And we can talk later on about, if there's two branches that got two event chains and they are later merging those events. It's probably something we want to do. I'm going to have to go.
Right.
This,
You can
I
also
love that. I love
squash.
that
You can
idea.
also
I love that idea.
squash the branches later as a form of compression
Yeah.
once they've sort of passed their use by date. So you can just like commit just the
Well,
result.
you just summarize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then archive the original,
Yeah.
in deep store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Probably
yeah.
never called it. That might be.
All right. Well,
All
I'll
right.
keep going with getting this, getting you your GUI, so you don't have to suffer like this, and then you can, anytime you want, I can do these sessions are very helpful for me, like very
It's
very helpful.
hugely helpful for me as well. Yeah. What I'm going to be doing is my laptop seems to have frozen.
Oh dear. But yeah,
Frozen.
I'll
Okay.
I'll speak to you later because it feels like
Yeah.
we're about to clip things together here.
Yeah. Nice one. Right. Yeah. Ping you tomorrow.
Okay. I'll
See
see
where we're
you
at.
later.